Binyamin Eliezer Storchin. I'm a research excavation archaeologist for the Israeli Antiquities Authority. We're here in Kiryat Menachem. A rescue excavation took place as the building request to build a new road that connects the Givat Mesua neighborhood and Ora went underway. We located a mikveh, a ritual bath from the time of the Second Temple, with an amazing collection system. The water, the rainwater, would have collected on this flattened bedrock, flown into the three pools which you are standing around. Here's 1, 2, 3. Each pool has its own channel carved into the bedrock, which leads into the Charar HaMikveh, the pool. The channels, each one of them has its own carving. They would have had sort of stone capstones that sat on it and covered the channels, so that the water would have stayed clean from the pool, the collection pool, into the larger ritual, the mikveh pool. The small otzarot, or collection pools, would have not only collected the rainwater, but heavy stuff such as sticks, stones, anything that could sink would sink down to the bottom, and as the water level would raise up, it would flow into the channels and into the mikveh. So the water that flew into the mikveh would always be cleansed of all kinds of dirt and stones and things that you wouldn't want. All of this under halachic guide during the Mishnaic period. This would have been a halachic mikveh and would have served the population who worked in the area. The local residents have shown much interest. They've come by every day. There were a few regulars during the excavation that said good morning every day. I think that it is important. This is part of our heritage. This is part of the history of the land of Israel, and preserved. Whether other sites have mikvahs bigger, maybe built nicer, but every single one is very important. This one has its own unique features, and it deserves to be presented to the public, the broader public, which brings you here.
Have you seen that I mean, this is a very diverse community. You have religious, you have secular, you have Sephardic, you have Ashkenazic here in this neighborhood. Have you seen that reflected in the interest in the mikveh as well?
Absolutely, absolutely. People of all walks of life. Dog walkers in the morning, kids on the way to yeshiva in the mornings. I know that during the Pesach holiday, there were people who came here. They asked the Reshut Atikot, they sent emails, what are they doing next to this neighborhood? There were people who came down after work, they wanted explanations, of all walks of life. It was really amazing to see, and they all are amazed by the planning that went into such a system.
This is exactly what we at Foundation Stone try to encourage, is the link between the people today and their own history and their own unique cultural underpinnings and connection to the land of Israel. And here's a very nice reflection of exactly that idea. What about volunteers? Were people able to volunteer here as part of the excavation?
We did have one volunteer who dug here. Mostly were workers for the Reshut Atikot. We did have one volunteer during the I don't think he knew about the site. He wanted to volunteer on his own time before the army. And I always say, peeling away the history textbooks to find your own roots. In archaeology, we peel away the layers of the earth to find our roots. So it's relatively amazing to succeed. And somebody said to me earlier, everywhere you go in Yerushalayim, there's something. So here's another something for the pages of history.
So
So here we have the entranceway towards the mikveh, the mikveh pool. This is modern. When the mikveh was canceled out, it became a water cistern, and they added this little installation. We have the original steps, which people would have gone into the mikveh to Tovel. They would have walked down the mikveh, down the steps, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, into the ritual chamber, in the mikveh chamber itself, and we have 3 holes that connect to the channels from above. One in one corner, one in the other, and the middle hole in the middle. The plaster you see here is not original. It is the cement. When the mikveh turned into a water cistern, they replastered this room. Above, they added a sort of outlet for the I don't even know how you call it. Where they would have drawn water from buckets, the pia be'er.
Okay.
This is the sort of the head of the water cistern. When we came to excavate it, there was actually a built and cement sort of covering on it. We took it away. We actually found this stone, which was probably the original construction, the original blocking stone next to it. So this is why we kept it in the area, because it's part of the original phase of canceling out the mikveh and turning it into a water cistern before the cement. In the past month, I was working under the auspices of the Israeli Antiquities Authority. We started rescue excavations here, the southern area of Yerushalayim by Kiryat Menachem. A proposed roadway that connects the Ora neighborhood to Givat Mesuah was proposed, and we set out with an archaeological survey, found a few interesting points to excavate. Among the mikveh we found stone quarries, agricultural installations including a wine press, a lot of terraces. May be very hard to date them. Some of them may be modern, some of them may be a little bit older. And now we're here at the mikveh, the ritual bath. As the focal point, one of the major cities in the region, of course. And around it would have been surrounding villages, satellite villages, towns that would have had their central economy based around Yerushalayim. And they would have provided kinds of goods that you don't have necessarily in the city. During the Second Temple period, when ritual purity was very important, mikvaot served as the way to purify yourself ritually. Including in everyday things such as wine making, oil making, pottery making. A person would need to be spiritually cleansed, or clean, because he would pass off the impurities, the tuma, into the objects that he makes. That would be then sold in Yerushalayim, and it would become a halachic ritual problem. So we see in other sites where agricultural installations, they have next to them mikvaot, to make sure that the workers are abiding by the laws of tuma and ta'ara, purity and impurity. And here we are at a site, not necessarily inside of a village, but on the side, on the sort of surrounding, the periphery of a village. 2 years ago, correct, the excavation was started by Ron Levi. He uncovered the mikveh, which was in a later period closed up and turned into a water cistern, and pretty much used till modern day. He noticed then that the excavation was not complete. He noticed that there were 3 holes leading to channels from within inside the chamber that led outside. He then assumed that there would be such a water collecting system, but to what degree he did not know. The excavation was halted, and until we came to finish his excavation, it was based on his earlier work that we dug alongside. And sure enough, we uncovered such a system, which we see in front of us, consisting of 3 pits, collection pits, Horot Shikua, Otzrot, that are connected into the immersion pool's main chamber by 3 channels. Of all the mikvot that were dug around Yerushalayim and outside Yerushalayim in the north, a system such as this is very rare. And if such a system exists, it's usually limited to one collection pool. Here we have 3. The people who made the pool really took care into making it so that 1, it could collect enough water, 2, that the water would be all the time clean. The pits also collect water and they also filter. The channels, the base of the channels is cut a lot higher than the base of the pit. Water would run off on the bedrock, which is smoothed, maybe intentionally, maybe not. Some areas maybe, some areas, but would run down into the pools. Heavy stones and sticks, things that you wouldn't want to fill up your pool with, would sink down, go into the channels. All this without becoming mayim shuvin, which is a halachic term for drawn water. Water that is drawn by hand, by bucket, would become unfit for ritual immersion. You mentioned that the mikveh is rather small. It's rather large, concerning that the halacha only needs 40 se'ah of water. They overpassed the 40 se'ah within the. We know that the entranceway is rather small. This mikveh did not serve hundreds of people, and usually when people would come, it would come one by one. But it was important enough, even the one by one, to make such a system. And to my knowledge, such a system doesn't exist anywhere else, at least in the area. If you were working here in ancient times, and your wine press or your olive press was in the area, to go all the way down to this wasn't drinking water. Drinking water would have been taken, and although things like Azov would not be purified other than spring water is not something you usually bathe in. Spring water you tend to use for drinking. It's very clean, and it's most springs were not used for mikvot. They were used. So the other option for mikvot here, where you don't have at the base of the mountain, you do have natural water, and you do have natural springs and streams. Here you have to collect rainwater, and we see it all over Yerushalayim. We see it even in the Ottoman period. There was a building law. Any building has to be constructed with a water cistern under it. Every ounce of rain is a bracha, right? It's also very important when you only have winter rain. That's what you need for everything, for cooking, cleaning, washing, and bathing, ritual bathing, which made them use this site. The local residents have shown much interest. They've come by every day. There were a few regulars during the excavation that said good morning every day. I think that it is important. This is part of our heritage. This is part of the history of the land of Israel, and preserved. Whether other sites have mikvahs bigger, maybe built nicer, but every single one is very important. This one has its own unique features, and it deserves to be presented to the public, the broader public, which brings who dug here mostly were workers for the Reshut Atikot. We did have one volunteer during the I don't think he knew about the site. He wanted to volunteer on his own time before the army. And I always say, peeling away the history textbooks to find your own roots. In archaeology, we peel away the layers of the earth to find our roots. So it's relatively amazing to succeed. And somebody said to me earlier, everywhere you go in Yerushalayim, there's something. So here's another something for the pages of history.